All right, hello, hello. How are you all doing? You're having, or I guess, had time zones. Who knows? I hope you all had a good Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. I have done absolutely nothing for Halloween other than put on my cute Mario Boo shirt that has a bunch of candy and jack-o'-lanterns and things on it. Otherwise, I have done absolutely nothing very festive. Other than, I suppose, for the next 22 minutes of Halloween, I'll be playing some Legacy of Kain. I may have woke up very late. It's okay. This is my life now, as it has been for the past 2 years. I'm awake when I'm awake, and I'm asleep when I'm asleep. I discovered that my inability to actually read all the words on the page, because these are very long pages of all these comparisons and all that stuff, it turns out I was using an outdated old version of the mod. The reason being is because when you search for Soul Reaver HD, you get the old page first because that was like the most popular thing. And now there's a newer version from like a few years later that may have some textures at like a higher resolution. Stuff I'm probably not really going to notice, but who knows? Because I didn't actually test anything before the stream. I just copy pasted, replaced them textures, and here we are. Alrighty, let me double check that command because it should have an exception. It should have an alias. I changed this yesterday. Maybe it didn't add it. Here we go. Let me also put in, oh no, mods is in the title. We're all good now. So something I discovered that was also within the new texture pack I downloaded is one, it comes with a copy of the emulator already pre-set up and everything, which I didn't bother with because I've already set it up the way I wanted, and I played this game for at least 10 hours or so now. So I don't want to change anything too much. But it did come with a new manual for the game. And I noticed that I was having some problems because I didn't read the original manual, which I often forget that this is an era where reading the manual is actually important. They don't tell you everything, like all these mechanics you need to know within the game itself. It's often just happenstance. You find them and then it's like, oh wait, am I recovering health in the spectral realm? But the manual's like, oh yeah, you can do that. So we're going to take a brief gander through the manual, but first, we're going to actually pop into the game really fast. Oh, no, not a new game. Oh, okay, we'll fix this. Just so we have some game audio going on in the background. I guess it would be a little bit intensive, but that's okay. Let's see. Actually, I'm curious. What if I were to quit and load my save? Will that be like a little bit less intensive? I assume it's going to be at the at this room. Alright, we can chill here. That's a little bit less. There's probably enemies in this room vibes. Alright, so let's open this thing up. Here's the manual. And I actually read through it. And sure enough, there were things that weren't in tutorials in the game. Funnily enough, the high jump is not something that's listed in this manual, which would have been super useful for me to remember yesterday. But anyway, as you can see, this is a version of the manual made by the person who made the mod that we're using for the HD textures and all that. Doesn't scroll right. We're just using Edge because it opened up the PDF and that's what we're using. Yeah, they have a bunch of like setup instructions and things, which we don't really need. Their control scheme's a little bit different from mine. And it's interesting they give a note for the Dreamcast version because that's the version you need to use their mod. The controls are different here, but that's okay. The most important thing I wanted to go over in this manual is there's actually a bit of world building plot setup. Most of these things are kind of covered in the intro to the game, which I remember very vaguely. I remember the gist of what happens, but I don't remember everything that Raziel says. But there's some more things in here for someone like me who hasn't played Blood Omen, and also it fills in the gap, presumably, between the end of Blood Omen and when, you know, Lord Kain is now forming up his posse of vampires to take over the world. Hey, Tisma, how's it going? What's up? We're reading a manual, a little bit. And then we'll briefly glimpse over some of the other things. Yeah, we have a little bit to read. Some of this isn't super important, but we got some stuff to read. So we're gonna start off here with Dark Gods. I remember the intro covered some of these things, so some of it's just going to be reminders of what happened. Or for those of you who haven't seen any of this, haven't seen any of Soul Reaver, this will all be important information for you to kind of understand what's going on in the plot, maybe. Also, I don't know why these are separated into sections, because some of the sections don't really... Like, this is called Raziel, but this tells a little bit of Raziel, but it's mostly just a general thing. It's very interesting. I guess the whole point of the passage is the thing that they've highlighted, but... This is one of your favorite stories. Hey! Have you played all the games? Or most of them? I'm curious. What is your experience with the series? Meanwhile, let's read these 3 paragraphs. A millennium has passed since Lord Kain set his capital in the ruins of the Pillars of Nosgoth and began his conquest of the world. His first act was to recruit shoot, I already forgot how you say this. I thought it was cadre, but it's not. It's something else. Can you say it?
Cadre.
A cadre. Okay. A cadre, which is a group of people born for a specific purpose. Dipping into the underworld, Kain snared 6 souls, and thus bird his lieutenants, of which I, Raziel, was one. We, in turn, prowled the twilight of purgatory, building 6 legions of vampires to pillage Nosgoth, which, as we now know in the story, they were actually... I've kind of lost the meaning of exactly what it is. They were some kind of, like, cult, all the members of a cult or, like, a church or something like that. So they were killed and then turned into vampires, and they kind of forgot who they were. You know, one of those traumatizing death things where you probably lose your memories. The destruction of the major human kingdoms was inevitable. Within 100 years, humanity had been thoroughly domesticated. To be sure, there remained some feral humans scattered across the hinterlands, clinging to their hopeless holy war to rid Nosgoth of the vampire scourge. They were tolerated. They made existence for the fledglings more challenging. After the taming of the humans, our real work began, shaping Nosgoth to our will. Around the pillars, slaves constructed a shrine worthy of our new age, worthy of our new renaissance, or renaissance, however you want to say it. Huge furnaces were built to belch smoke into the sky, shielding the land from the poisonous effects of the sun. Never had the world known a time of such beauty. However, we grew bored. We allowed the remains of the legions, the lesser vampires, to have their intrigues. They provided amusement and spice to an increasingly uninspired court. As faction fell against faction, we bet upon the outcome. We helped and foiled plots at our whim. We were the council, and Lord Kain our only master. The humans think it a poison of the blood that makes us what we are. Fools, the blood only feeds the bodies we live in. To create a vampire, one must steal a soul from the abyss to reanimate the corpse. It is the body that demands the blood sacrifice. Our souls gain their advantage from the powers of the underworld. As we matured, our earthly bodies evolved into a higher form. We assumed the powers and nobility of the dark gods. With each change, the trivial affairs of vampire and man held less interest. Always it was Kain that would change first. After the master had experienced a new gift, one of us would follow in a decade or so. That is, until I had the audacity to evolve before my master. I was gifted with wings. and for my impertinence, I was damned. The thing that's a little bit unclear is if he voluntarily evolved or if he just happened to evolve, and that's, you know, how dare you evolve before me? To us, the touch of water is agony. It burns our flesh like acid. My punishment was to be cast into the lake of the dead, our execution ground for traitors and weaklings. As my brethren heaved me into the air, I could see the bemused expressions on their faces, the transitory thrill of something new, then the pain, melting, twisting, burning, falling, a new experience indeed. Time. I have no concept of how long I fell, only that there was an end to the fall, and through the pain I heard the voice. At first I thought it merely the echoes of my own tortured mind, but I grew to understand that it was more, something primal, something angry, something righteous, something ancient. The elder explained much to me. It told me of creation, of death, of souls, and of hunger. For eons the elder fed upon the souls of Nazgûl. Then Kain's vampire dynasty deprived the elder of sustenance. For centuries his hunger grew and festered in this place. The elder offered me a solution to my sorry existence. If I would stalk the material realm, slaying my former brethren, then I would have the chance to avenge myself against Kain. How could one refuse such an offer? I feel like that was a bit unclear in the intro, but maybe I just zoned out because there weren't subtitles. I'm very much a reader. I put on subtitles for everything. And this game doesn't have subtitles. So maybe I zoned out a bit as they were talking and I missed the elder's reasoning for wanting to allow us to go around and getting revenge. The rest of this is more so just tutorials, so we're not going to read the rest. But, you know, it's just talking about the spectral realm, things shift around, your life energy is constantly drained in the material realm. I don't think that's the case. I don't think your life constantly goes down. Maybe it does. I think it more so means that you're probably taking more damage in the material realm, unless that's something they changed later to make the game less tedious, maybe. Yeah, it says if he's damaged or does not feed, but I don't think I've just stood around and had my health drained, but I guess we can check in a second here. See if that'll be the case. In the spectral realm, you recover your energy slowly, which we found out. And something about if you can't do anything, you should probably just shift to the spectral realm because you'll probably find the answer. They say that somewhere. Otherwise, we know about the warp gates. We know about gliding. I did not know you could hold the auto face button, which is like the stealth button / like face forward button, to glide straight down, which is useful in maybe like one area we know of so far. Because otherwise you can just drop, so it's fine. I did not know you can put down objects by holding crouch and then pressing action. I thought you had to throw things away. What else? I don't think there was too much I didn't know. I honestly forgot about sneaking, which would probably be a useful tool to use in the platforming areas when I need to just like step forward a tiny bit, because that actually does slow your movement speed down a lot. So I probably should be remembering to sneak, because I typically don't sneak up on enemies since combat isn't that hard. So I don't even bother usually. But I could be using that to reduce the slip and slide of falling off objects all the time. Otherwise, I think that's about it. They talk about the Soul Reaver, and they talk about if you imbue it in the fire, it'll get the fire ability. And if you get that, you can relight it with fire by just swinging it at a fire object. And if you were to die, you'd have to If it's damaged, the Soul Reaver disappears and must be re-imbued with fire. When the Soul Reaver's charge of fire, vampires are burned by its slashes, and its projectiles will set them alight. But you cannot imbue it in the spectral realm. But the slip and slide is fun! There are also glyphs that I believe we can get some of these at this point, which are special powers that use glyph points, or glyph energy, which I think you regenerate at the portals between the two realms, and also at specific things that give you glyph energy. Because otherwise you would, unless shift glyph doesn't cost anything, but I think it does. Otherwise you couldn't use that. That's a glyph. And these are all entirely optional, I'm pretty sure. But we can go get some of them at this point. I did not know that you can suck soul energy out of non-combative humans without killing them. You can actually suck out their soul and then they'll just fall on the ground, and they're only partially sucked, so they're fine. They'll recover, I guess. They talk about how there's different types of vampires, which explains some of the sleeping ones. They're probably just pupating on the ground and evolving. They talk about the different clans, which are essentially the enemy types of the types of vampires we've been encountering. The aquatic ones and the standard ones and all that. I did not know that this game has a notoriety mechanic, or a reputation mechanic, to where if you don't kill many or maybe at all humans, they actually won't be hostile against you. And yeah, you can also just like suck out their soul, I guess, by just standing near them and then just choosing to just take a little sip. You know, just a little sip, not a glug. Yeah, the humans won't actually attack you, and they'll see you as a savior from the vampire scourge if you don't murder a bunch of them, which is a little too long, you know, too far too late for me. But I would think, like, in the lore, Raziel wouldn't care about killing people because it's just like free soul energy, you know? And he was a vampire before, so he thought of them as things to be conquered. So it doesn't really matter. I think at this point in the plot where he now knows that he wasn't always just a normal standard person, maybe he would care a little bit more, because now he knows that the vampires are probably the enemies all along, kind of thing. They also talk about how, like in that one area, we were fighting other humans, but there are ones who worship vampires and they will always be aggressive toward you. And that's it. Also, Amy Hennig was a director and writer on this game, along with another person somewhere. There's writing, it's a writing credit somewhere. Lead writer, where is it? Somewhere, like script writer. Script, here we go. Richard Lemerchand. There we go. Look at all these credits. These are all the developers, not just like the mod or anything like that. Yeah. And some more, and then we have the different textures. For reference, a lot of older games, and probably even newer games as well, they would use like stock textures that they would have on CDs. So for instance, there's a stonework interior surfaces, rooftops, and metals like CD, like a book that would go around, and they would take these textures and use them in the games. And in order to make HD mods, people have since gone and found and discovered like what textures were on what CDs by what companies, and getting a higher quality version of them versus whatever they compressed in the past, which is cool. That's also a thing where, if you heard about the Resident Evil 4 controversy, like lawsuit a few years back, one of the developers used one such texture from some CD without permission. They didn't get a license for it. For the Resident Evil 4 logo, like in the 4, there's like this cracked glass effect, and they had to settle that. Yeah, fun facts. Look at all these texture artists and things. Oh, cool. Anyway. Whoop. Back to the game. Yeah, it would have been funny is even if I read the manual, it didn't mention the high jump. So I would have forgot about it anyway. Yeah, there's a slow walk I could have been using this whole time. And there's like a crouch walk. So that probably would have been useful instead of like slip and sliding off the edge. Probably could be using that to inch. Oh wait, can you not fall off platforms with this? Oh, that would have been so useful. Aw, man, that would have been nice. All right, well, we know now. My criticisms are now mute. This is actually where we were. Apparently in the Dreamcast version, some of the controls are oddly specific as well, like having to hold both of the back buttons to look around. I think in the PlayStation version, you just hold one button. Or the left and right being on D-pad, that's a Dreamcast thing. So I believe we were going to go down here. We drained the water, and now we're going to murder some vampires. We're gonna murder up some vampires, and we're gonna push some blocks around. All right, I believe, can I take this one? I can, I don't really need to. Right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this, because we're gonna wanna move this block over so we can lift it onto that other platform. Which I can move the camera while I'm doing this if I grab claw the controller. And now violence! Enough of that lore, it's time to murder some vampires. It's Halloween after all. And that would have been so nice if I knew that there was actually an ability to not fall off platforms. Imagine. But that's one of those things where it's a lesson learned, I suppose. I'll be seeing people in the YouTube comments go, why don't you just hold this button? And it'll be like 2 years from now and people think I just uploaded the video. I've gotten like backseating like tips all the time on like my old like Eternal Sonata stuff. No. Can you not lift this block? Hello? Might not be able to lift this one, let's see. Oh, wrong button. Wrong button. Yeah, that would have helped. Alright, well. That works. How I did this before. Does that work? Oh no, I don't want that actually. I may have screwed up. Because now I can't get that block off, can I? I was supposed to have it to where I could have lifted that one up to the top, but now I can't do that. I don't think I can reset that. It's just kind of stuck now. Can I take it off? Can I slide the bottom one like off? No, that pushes the whole thing. All right, well, you know, good thing we have the power of save states, so I can just let's redo that. Ow! You know, this may be a problem because I don't know if there's a way to kill them either down here. Well, shoot. This is the problem I have in some of these areas. Is I don't think... Oh, there's one... That's the crank. I don't think there's a way to kill vampires in certain areas, so you have to use the Soul Reaver. Okay. Good thing time travel is lore friendly. Exactly. It's fine. Wait a minute. Wait, where are the other blocks? Wait, is this the right way or is it this way? This is the way. Okay, never mind. This is the way. That's the progression way, and we need to move some of these blocks over there so we can get to the door. I wish I could do something about the audio effects cutting out, but that's just how it'd be. Emulation problems. Especially being Dreamcast, which I would assume is one of those weird consoles that's just gonna have these kind of weird effects to it. Double check, is there anything else I need over here? That's the crank, and I think that was just the portal, but I can easily get up there already. So we're gonna be careful. I don't think I want to accidentally stack those things. Oh, is it faster to just like push them over one? I don't think it is. Maybe a little bit. It might be a little bit faster. Oh wait, that was a mistake. Hold on. That was a mistake. Can I still fix it? Can I move this block? Okay, good. Oh, up. Over. I should probably make sure, do I need a specific block? I don't think I do. I think they're all like technically the same. I think I need to actually do a 3 stack, which the only way to do that would be to move this over, stack it on the other box, and then like get like a four tall stack giant thing going on from that top platform. So we'll stack 2 here, we'll stack another one on top by sliding, and then we'll lift the final one on top. Make a giant tower that for some reason is making me think of the Goomba towers in Mario Odyssey especially, but the what were they called? The Stroll and Stew towers in Mario Sunshine. Stroll and Stew. Such a cute name. I wish they had more Stroll and Stews. Those things were like so like squishy. I just love them. That would be the for people not Super Mario inclined. Oh, actually, will that even work? I don't think I can get on top of that though, can I? I can still remove those blocks, so it's fine. I can remove 2 of them, but how would that work? I can't like get on top of that. I think it's too tall. I think I actually need. I may actually have screwed up. Reversibly. So I can't. You can't. I don't think you can remove the top blocks at all. You can only lift. If it's that tall, I can't jump on top of it. So I can jump on top of the 2 or the 3. And then from there, that actually might already be enough. I'm not sure. I think one of these is overkill. I might be able to fix it though. Is this at the corner? Not the corner. I don't think I need one of those blocks. Or I need it, but I need it to be on the bottom so I can jump on the top ones. Here, let me push it down. And then I can take it. Oh, happy Halloween, Inferno! How's it going? We're playing Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which is a game about vampires, so it's Halloween. So I think I do that, and then I put a block on the bottom, so I can still like stand on top of it. It counts. I mean, it's a game about a vampire apocalypse, so if that doesn't count as Halloween, I don't know what does. Goes well, how are you? I've had a completely uneventful Halloween. The only thing I have done for the season is I put on a Halloween themed shirt, and that's about all I've got going on. Otherwise, we read some lore from the manual that I forgot to read before I started playing the game. I learned a couple things, and here we are. Nothing says Halloween like block puzzle. Or you had to work. Oh, I just kind of woke up super late, so I woke up when like Halloween was like almost over, I guess. Aha!